Before Lucifer fell from grace, before Michael drew his flaming sword in righteous defiance, before the celestial choirs sang their first hymn of creation, there was one, a being of immense power, existing outside the tapestry of divine plans, a figure shrouded in mystery and awe. He predated the very concepts of rebellion and obedience, a solitary entity in the grand cosmic design. He was not cast out from the celestial realm, for he held no allegiance to any faction. He did not rebel against the divine order, for he existed beyond its constraints. And yet, all of heaven trembled, a silent tremor of anticipation and dread, whenever his presence graced their hallowed halls. His arrival signaled a shift in the cosmic balance, a moment of profound consequence. He carried no name that mortal men, or even the most ancient of angels, could utter without invoking a sense of profound unease. No crown adorned his brow, for his authority transcended the symbols of power. No scroll bearing divine decrees rested in his hands. He was the embodiment of a law older than Scripture itself. No message did he bring, only the chilling certainty of the final breath before ultimate judgment. Not even the seraphim, those closest to the divine presence, dared to whisper his true identity, for fear of invoking the very judgment he represented. Because he wasn't merely a messenger delivering divine pronouncements. He was the end of all messages, the ultimate punctuation mark in the story of existence. He was the embodiment of cosmic finality. He was the silent, unwavering edge of God's wrath, a force unsheathed only when the wellspring of mercy had run dry, when all hope for redemption had faded into the abyss. This is the one being in all of heaven that was never judged by the celestial court, because judgment itself came through him, flowed from him, and defined his very essence. He was the ultimate arbiter, the bringer of cosmic reckoning. Imagine a canvas of absolute nothingness, a silence so profound it hums in your very core. Before the dawn of stars, before light painted the void, before Genesis whispered its first world-shaping word, there existed only potential. Then, from this formless expanse, something extraordinary was forged, not in the crucible of celestial fire, but through the sheer force of divine command, a being brought forth not by natural processes, but by an act of pure, unadulterated will. He was not born of stardust and celestial energy, as were his brethren. He was not carefully sculpted from light and clay, imbued with purpose and song. He was not created in the conventional sense. He was summoned, willed into existence by a decree so absolute, so fundamental, that it bypassed the very laws of creation, a direct manifestation of the Almighty's intent, while other angels were meticulously crafted to fulfill specific roles, to praise the divine, to guard the celestial gates, to deliver messages across the vast expanse of creation. This one emerged without a preordained destiny. He had no song to sing, no charge to keep, no divine missives to carry. His purpose, if he even had one, remained shrouded in mystery, a question mark etched into the fabric of existence. He did not sing with the choirs of angels, his voice absent from the celestial harmony. He did not glow with the radiant light of divine grace, his form cloaked in shadow. He simply stood, a solitary figure in a boundless expanse, alone in his being, still as the void from which he came. He stood nearer to the throne of God than even the seraphim, those six-winged beings of pure adoration. Yet he received no worship, no reverence, no acknowledgement of his presence. He was close, yet distant, present, yet unseen, a paradox in the heart of heaven itself. Even heaven itself seemed to hold its breath in his presence. The heavenly council, usually vibrant with discussion and debate, fell silent. Faces turned away, as if afraid to meet his gaze, afraid to acknowledge the being that stood apart from them all. Heaven did not name him, because to name him would be to define him, to understand him, perhaps even to control him. And what he brings, the power he embodies, must never be summoned lightly, lest unleash forces beyond comprehension. Lucifer fell for pride. The sons of God fell for lust, but this one never fell, because he never reached. Lucifer said, "I will ascend." This angel said nothing. He simply obeyed. While Lucifer gathered armies and shouted rebellion, this angel moved in silence. Not with followers, not with fanfare, but with finality. 2 Kings 19:35 tells of a night when 185,000 perished. There was no battle, no war cry, only sleep, and then death. Not from hell, not from man, but from the command of heaven itself. In 1 Chronicles 21, David sees him, standing between heaven and earth, sword drawn, not in anger, but in precision. And David, the slayer of giants, falls to his face and begs, "Let your hand be upon me and my house." But the angel does not respond. He does not move. Because judgment, once declared, does not negotiate. It waits until God himself says, "It is enough." Only then does the sword withdraw, not in defeat, but in discipline. Numbers 16:48 whispers something chilling. And he stood between the living and the dead, and the plague was stopped. No name, no trumpet, just he stood. This wasn't Moses, not a prophet, not a priest. This was something else, something death feared. He didn't pray, he didn't plead. He simply stood, and the plague obeyed. He didn't halt destruction with incense or magic, but with presence. What kind of presence can make hell pause and heaven hold its breath? Gabriel brings messages. Michael leads armies. Even Satan bears a name. But this one remains unnamed. Some call him Meshach, the destroyer. Others, ha-mavet, the angel of death. But scripture never confirms. It gives only aftermath. Cities turn to ash. Fields full of silence. Thrones abandoned. This is not coincidence. Heaven does not name what it does not wish to call again. He is the sword, not the soldier. The final act, not the first blow. And what is most terrifying, he still remains. Not in exile, but in reserve. He was not locked away like the rebellious watchers. Not cast down like Lucifer. He still dwells in heaven, not as reward, but as readiness. God does not fear him. God does not rebuke him. God keeps him. Why? Because when mercy runs dry, someone must pour out what remains. And he is that vessel. Not wrathful, not cruel, just final. There is no prophecy naming it, because his appearance ends prophecy. When he moves again, there will be no time to wonder, only silence. The prophecies foretold are nearing their end. When the last scroll is broken, its secrets scattered like ashes in the wind. When heaven no longer waits, its gates sealed shut, its angels silent, the world will hold its breath. It will not be a trumpet you hear heralding a glorious return. It will be his footsteps, a slow, deliberate cadence echoing through the void. No light to pierce the darkness, no roar of thunder to announce his arrival, just movement, a subtle shift in the balance, final, inexorable, the end of all things as they were, the beginning of what is to come. A new era dawns, not with fanfare, but with the quiet certainty of his presence. The very air crackles with anticipation, a silent promise of the power that is about to be unleashed. The sacred texts, whispered down through generations, hold fragments of the truth. Scripture doesn't say precisely when he will rise again, from the depths of obscurity, to reclaim his dominion. But it tells us this, etched in the annals of time. He was never broken, never defeated, never truly vanquished. Only hidden, waiting in the shadows, biding his time. He was never judged by mortal men, for his power transcends their comprehension. Because judgment walks with him, a constant companion, a force of reckoning that precedes his every action. He is the ultimate arbiter, the bringer of balance, the one who will set the scales right. He will not descend like lightning, a blinding flash of divine intervention. He will not weep like the saints, offering solace and forgiveness. He will not ask for permission, for his authority is absolute. He will act decisively and without hesitation. The last war will not begin with war cries, the clash of steel, or the thunder of cannons, but with silence, a profound, a profound, unsettling stillness that blankets the world. And in that silence, he will move. A silent predator stalking its prey, a force of nature unleashed. The world will tremble, not from the sound of battle, but from the weight of his presence. The final act is about to begin. If this revelation stirred something deep in your spirit, you're not alone, because this was just one sword. Scripture holds many mysteries, beings not named, realms not yet opened, truths that were veiled. Until now, subscribe, because the next time we meet, we'll unveil another one heaven feared to name.